Hello, welcome to another interesting edition of your program, Infrastructure Weekly. I am your anchor, Ajibola Umuchikwa. On today's program, we'll be taking you around the project sites across the country from road, power and housing. We'll be back after this time out as we delve into the program proper. Stay tuned.
Coming together of opportunities. This is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and Core TV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
We start today's program from Abuja, where President Muhammadu Buhari has once again reiterated his commitment to the all-round development of Nigeria with infrastructure projects without prejudice to political or other affiliations. The president spoke in Abuja, where he welcomed a delegation from Bogu led by the Emir Aliyu Dantoro and another from Kishi in Oyo State. Both delegations were in Abuja to seek for presidential blessing for the completion of abandoned and ongoing projects in both communities and general development of the areas.
And your delegation, senior government functionaries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very grateful, Your Highness, for mobilizing your constituency and other friends to come and congratulate us for winning the election. You constrained me to become a bit emotional because of a personal relationship between me and your father, the late Emir Oborgu, from the time he was a minister or commissioner in Kwara State then, and I could recall when we came in, he was among the people I detained. But being an emir, he knew the costume of law and so on. He never personally took it as others did. And when eventually he succeeded in being the emir, our relationship continued, and I could recall going to Borgu, difficult as it was on the access roads, to go and see him and visit him. I thank you very much, and I understand your shopping list for coming to see me. I hope the Secretary to the government has taken note. Since I'm not looking forward to another election, I think I will try and do what I can. But I assure you that the infrastructure you mentioned in your constituencies, I will try and see the ministers responsible and urge them that I have made a promise. And that since I'm going to be around, God willing, for the next 4 years, I think they will come. I think they will come. They will comply. Yes. Thank you very much for appreciating what I was able to do when I was in PTF. And what I have been able to do with the problems there of security generally. This is a general problem throughout the country, and I assure you that I will continue to do my best. But I thank you most sincerely for mobilizing so many people from your kingdom and your neighborhood to come and say, we thank God and pray together for the success we have. I appreciate the adage that nothing succeeds like success. If we haven't won the election, I think we might have taken different directions all over the country. But we thank God, success brought us together again and firmed up our relationship. I thank you very much for coming, and please pass my congratulations and thanks for coming to say congratulations to me. And I don't mind, you can report to me to them that you have submitted your shopping list. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, Mr. President.
Moving on from there, the federal government says efforts aimed at completing major projects will be ramped up to ensure delivery on or before schedule. Representative of the Federal Ministry of Power, Works and Housing on the construction of the strategically important Lagos-Shagamu-Ore-Benin Road, Yinka Onofuye, said the project will experience a ramping up with more than 13 kilometers of the 98 kilometers expected to add to the over 20 kilometers of road already recovered.
The Lagos-Shagamu-Ore-Benin Road was identified as a road of strategic national importance by the Muhammadu Buhari administration, owing to its importance as the link road between the southern parts of Nigeria. For many road users, this was a decision long overdue by the federal government, owing to the experience on the road since it started deteriorating in the early 90s. The road, which was divided into 4 sections for ease of construction, is now left with the 4th section being the outstanding section still to be completed. Yinka Onofuye, who is the project supervisor from the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, says it is a work in progress which has reached over 25%.
The contractor is on site. Initially, the project started from Shagam and is heading to Ajibandele. The initial status of this road was so bad. This road normally take almost some hours before you can get to Benin or Ajibandele, but presently the contractor have done some work that have elevated the suffering of the masses, and which will take a lesser time before you can get to Benin. Presently, we are working on the road. The percentage completion is 25%, where percentage lap is 61%. The contractor have done almost 20 kilometers of the boat carriageway. We have repaired almost 4 bridges as it is now, and presently they are also want to move in about some months, a month time. They are going to work almost on 13 kilometers on the boat carriageway.
He added that over 20 kilometers of the 99.8 kilometer stretch of road has been completed both on the inbound and outbound Ajibandele, which is the start-off point.
The scope of the work entails reconstruction and alpha overlay. In some section, we have to open the carriageway and rebuild it from the foundation by adding hardcore and stone base, and we introduce macadam to strengthen the road before we now lay binder and wearing on the road. Where we don't have more problem on the road, we only do the macadam, the binder, and the wearing course on the road. We extend the carriageway both sides. In the inner carriageway, we cover it with asphalt, while the asphalt carriage shoulder will also cover with wearing and binder. All the drainage are lined with concrete. We are doing stone pitching and we are also protecting all the embankments.
He said the contractor is expected to ramp up work within the next 1 month with 13 kilometers of road to be delivered within that time frame.
Presently, the contractor is working, and I believe before short time we are going to get to Ajibandele. In a month's time, we are going to cover almost 13 kilometers. The road was initially dual carriageway, as I already said, two on both sides. But what we did now is just to extend the carriageway, which is also the two carriageway, but the road is widening. You can take almost 33 lane on the both sides. From Shagam to Ajibandele is 98.4 kilometers. This regime have been funding this project, and I believe before 2001, which is the time, 2021, the project is going to be completed.
He said the ministry will ensure that proper markings are done to minimize the risk of traffic accident, especially in areas where there is large population of people on the road corridor.
If you're just joining us, the program is Infrastructure Weekly. You can get in touch with us on Facebook, Infrastructure Weekly, or on Twitter, Infra_Weekly, for comments, feedback, and inquiries. Join us after this break for more on the program. Stay tuned.
Dear lottery operator, you've done a remarkable job so far getting into a business that has been highly criticized for many years. You've done well to uphold your credibility and boost confidence in the business. Kudos to you. This is just to remind you of the rules of the game as prescribed by the National Lottery Regulatory Commission. Gaming is not for persons under 18. Underage gaming is prohibited. Report illegal operators to the Commission, and also always remember the regulatory job of the Commission. Whatever your category, lotteries, sport betting, promos, scratch cards, games, it is the duty of the Commission to protect lottery players and the operators, as well as promote transparency and accountability. Licensees are also expected to play their part, which includes remittances to the National Lottery Trust Fund. For more information, please go to natlotterycom.gov.ng. The National Lottery Regulatory Commission. Lottery, the right way.
Since the advent of Buhari administration following privatization of the power sector, the federal government was left with only the transmission leg of the sector. Since its resumption in office as the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola laid out a three-pronged vision of incremental to steady and to uninterrupted power in the short, medium and long term to address the ills of the power sector. Expanding the transmission grid has been a vital part of this drive. And over the past 1 year, the grid witnessed a lot of expansion, especially in the Lagos region, which accounts for over 30% of electricity consumption in the country. Let's take a listen.
Nigeria has suffered from power supply issues for as long as many people can remember. This, according to experts, is a function of the failure of the efforts by successive administration to develop the power sector. With the realization of this, and after several efforts aimed at transforming the sector and increase performance across the three legs of the power value chain, the federal government of Nigeria went for privatization with legal backing in what is now known as the Electricity Power Sector Reform Program. With this in place and the unbundling of the public sector power monopoly, Nigerian Electric Power Authority, first renamed Power Holding Company of Nigeria and later unbundled into 11 power distribution companies and several power generating entities. Many Nigerians had thought this was the magic wand that will finally address the ills of the sector, but this was not to be for a variety of factors. On assumption of office by the Buhari administration and after swearing in of the ministers to man the various ministries, the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, laid down what he called his vision for the power sector with a three-pronged approach of incremental to steady and uninterrupted power supply. But because of the Power Sector Reform Act, the federal government was left with the transmission leg of the sector and the Transmission Company of Nigeria. Since then, it's been from one expansion to flag off and commissioning all over the country. With the Lagos region comprising Lagos and Ogun State having more than 30% of the power usage in the country, attention was placed on expanding the grid and capacity in the area. The minister spoke on the expansion here in Odogunyan at the event which kick-started the expansion spree in the power sector.
One of the things we are going to do now is to see a co-distribution, commission one of its upgrade transformers in Akongba, which is near Adelabu where we are, to improve service to this place. They are also investing in Kefi on the island, at Teju Show Stadium. Essentially, the truth today is that we have more power available to go on the grid, over 6,000 megawatt, because generation has improved, transmission has also improved.
For the managing director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Usman Gul Mohammed, the situation is one that will get better in the coming months and years.
Transmission rehabilitation and expansion program, which seeks to rehabilitate, stabilize, and expand the grid to at least 20,000 megawatt by 2021. To achieve this, we are using in-house capacity to install transformers and equipment, to support contractors that are willing to work with us to complete their contract, and to take over contracts that are failing.
The federal government also scored a first with the commissioning of the first offshore power transmission substation at Ilashe Island in the Oriade Local Council Development Area of Lagos State. The development, according to the Minister of Power Works and Housing, is a game changer.
People have asked why we are not using a lot of wind. It is because the wind speeds here are not as prolific as our gas reserves. So, because the wind speeds are not as prolific, you need to build at higher levels those wind farms. And that is a lot of capex in terms of steel. By the time you finish that, the cost of the energy will be more expensive than if you had used a gas turbine. And these are the choices that policy dictates upon us. It's not just producing energy, it's producing energy at the most efficient cost.
Some of the stakeholders who are affected by the development within the power sector, especially in the Lagos region, says it is a new dawn.
I'm happy today. Today is a good day for us as well. But when I want from NEPA, prepaid meter, Ikeja, prepaid meter, so that everybody will pay their due to the NEPA. When there's light, even the petrol station will sell. Not only the Baba alone. So I'm part of petrol, so we will sell very well. So we are asking you to give us more light, so that more business will come to the town, so that it will bring more factory for me.
Our economy will definitely improve. Our business will grow. Artisans will have at least more time to work now, and there will be more savings. When you have more savings from your work, then there will be a better improvement, and you have a better investment. So the economy of Ejigbo, and I can assure you, with this guest told, will improve. And on our own part at the local government level, we will support this TCN. We will make sure that we get every possible thing against vandalism.
The workers of the company also expressed their appreciation for the change brought about by the renewed commitment of the Buhari administration.
Intent of this substation is to key into the federal government agenda of opening up our infrastructural facilities, like the power infrastructure facility, because we discovered that in Nigeria our economy has been so much dependent on oil, and the federal government wants to open up. The TCM management has decided to provide power to the rural populace, like in this Lagos, to provide power in this kind of place. This is a Lashe.
The real capacity is 24 megawatts for the community. So the meaning is that all people who use power to do things like entertainment industry around here, they have adequate power to do that. Those who do menial jobs like welder, they are hairdressers, beauticians, those things that have to do with tourism, we also have a boost in their business. I'm very sure other tourism industry will spring up here.
The expansion of the transmission capacity, according to experts, make activity, development of the immediate areas, benefiting with an attendant increase in economic activity. It is indeed the advent of change. The next 4 years is expected to be better.
Still staying with the power sector, The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has procured 3 reactors which have been deployed to Ikotekpene Gas Transmission Substations for installation. The reactors are to help correct the voltage problem along the 330 kVA Ikotekpene Ugwaji Makurdi Jos transmission line axis. In a statement signed by the General Manager, Public Affairs, Ndidi Umba, TCN said that the 330 kVA line had been exposed to constant voltage instability up to 360 kVA at the Ikotekpene, Makurdi, and Ugwaji end of transmission line routes, due mainly to lack of reactors. TCN procured 3 new reactors that will be installed in the Ikotekpene, Jos and Apara stations, and once they are commissioned, the reactors will serve to substation and to stabilize high voltage along the transmission line routes. 2 of the new reactors are already in Jos and Apara Makurdi substations, while the 3rd one is on its way to Ikotekpene. The program is still Infrastructure Weekly. For feedback, comments and inquiries, you can get in touch with us on any of the social media handles showing on your screen. We'll be back after this time out with the housing sector. Stay tuned.
Coming together of opportunity, and this is what
Infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and QTV News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
We hit the home stretch today with the National Housing Program site in Imo State. The site, according to the site manager and engineers, is over 95% complete, with the 2nd phase expected to start soon. The site is one of the 34 sites scattered all over the country, with most of them now at the final stage of completion, with some of them of the building on site and which are already handed over to the ministry by contractors.
This is the site of the National Housing Program in Imo State, one of the 34 states where the program is going on all over the country. The federal government, according to the team leader, is working hard to complete the site in Owerri and commence the 2nd phase of the project to provide accommodation for the people of the state, so as to help solve some of the accommodation problem faced by the people. Speaking to Infrastructure Weekly crew, during an inspection to the site at Avu in Owerri West local government area of the state, to get a level of work done at the site, Uchenna Ikejiofo, the team leader, said the work is over 90% complete, but added that a proposal has already been made to the Imo State government for land to commence the 2nd phase of the project.
As you can see, we've made significant progress, particularly in engineering works. The roads are here. You can see the electrical installations are also in place now, completely. Almost everything about the road and the curbs are in place.
Some of the people working at the site lauded the federal government's effort, saying the program has provided them the opportunity to work and also employ people to work under them without being owed money.
As a graduate of civil engineering, I've had the opportunity to work and also be of maybe a help to my family. And also I've had people who are, subcontractors working under me. As we have laborers, people that came from all walks of life. They came from the north, some of them came from the west. They're also working under me and they've been having their livelihood through it.
Can you statistically tell me a number of people who has worked and who has benefited from this your project?
Okay,
this particular one you are handling.
This is a condominium, And in this place we have about 24 flats. You know, so we've worked with not less than 70 persons.
We are just trying to do some maintenance work now that we need, so that by next week the painting will now commence. It's just, as you can see, the building is just the maintenance work for the painting to commence that's left, and inside some doors and some little things to tidy it up. We are expecting that before this weekend the masonry work should be off. Since I'm in Owerri here doing this work, I'm able to raise family up. Things are going also well.
Thanks so much for staying tuned. Until next week when we return, continue to protect public utilities and be a good citizen by paying your tax. I am Ajibola Omuchikwa. Bye for now.
We are going to work to ensure that